You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good evening and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We're live here on the network, social media locations, and cbgtv.com. I'm Al Graham, and joining me as always on the screen is the very busy, my joint host, Tamara Cartwright. Tamara, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Actually, I've been pretty laid back this last 3 weeks. It's been nice having this today.
Really? Yeah. I know we were talking pre-show that, you're in between jobs. And you probably got time to get caught up around the house. So, that's probably still maybe
It's been nice just to kind of, and then I've had some meetings and stuff and other things that I've had to do. And again, like I said, med changes and just kind of being home and being able to kind of stable myself out, which is great. But yeah, I got the dogs all bathed and, the little Yorkie all shaved up and made sure that nobody had any more bugs or anything. And, it's just day-to-day stuff that doesn't get done when you work all day, right?
Yeah, when you're working all the time, and that job was taking you into evenings as well, and on weekends.
And weekends, yeah.
And now you got yourself. Next week, actually next Tuesday, I believe, right? You start your new job.
Yeah.
And we'll get an update next week on how the new job is after one day.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the first little bit's gonna be learning the inventory and learning their computer system and their cash flow. And, there's a lot to learn when you get in there. It's a big place. So it's because it's farm, pet, gardening, hydroponics, you name it, they've got it over there. They would have clothes and outside's got straw and gravel and rocks and fencing, and it's a great big garden center. So yeah, I am excited to get in there.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some good news. I threw a conversation on Facebook today in Inquiring Minds. Something was posted and I couldn't put down, so I found out what was going on here. As you know, I've been following I was involved as well as the Marmora, Ontario, and they're opting out of the cannabis retail stores that I have been involved with, been to council meetings, written council, did a presentation to council, the whole bit, over the last basically 5 years. Today I found out that back on December the 20th, the last council meeting of the year, and probably the second council meeting of the new council, they voted to opt in to allow cannabis retail stores in the municipality. Yeah. And then last night, what they did is they voted to opt in, and as well as to get a report done by the municipality staff. And the staff report was presented last night, and it was 5-0 as far as the vote. So it was unanimous. The vote on the December the 20th date, that was actually 4-1. There was one of the councillors, one of the original councillors who was still there.
I was going to say, do they have a whole new council?
No, they have two new councillors, and both of them agreed to opt in. The one guy who was left over, who opted out, who was voting for opt out in the past, he still did. But I was really glad to hear from him this time, because in the previous situations, he really hadn't said anything other than the word no in the two meetings where he had a chance to vote. The third meeting, he never got to a vote because the councillor withdrew the motion. But this time the mayor brought the motion forward, and it was a 4-1 vote. And he did some research. He went around to the stores, talked to the people in the stores, took a look at them, commented about some of the stores. He didn't maybe like the appearance of them. And he mentioned that one of the businesses talked about the saturation of the stores in Ontario. But you got to remember, Marmora opted out, so there wasn't any stores in Marmora. There's zero, and there still is no stores. Okay. So, if they get one, which I'm hoping that they do, to allow access for those who don't have access within the municipality.
Right.
So.
Right. That's amazing. Well, like, I was saying, and I was thinking about this earlier, like, how we talk about legalization and how there's, the fact that people aren't getting arrested for simple possession and that there should be no laws on it. Then I thought about the fact that if they would have left it with no laws, with no restrictions, then people would be selling to underage kids, and would that be right? And, so, I mean, they had to, like, as much as I was trying to fight with myself about the whole thing, thinking about it, but logically, they had to put some sort of restriction on.
You can't drive around with an open bottle of liquor and
right.
Right?
So there has to be some laws put on it, right? And
a law like that would be added to
But I do. But I thought logically, there's no way that we could have gotten away with it, like having it just like the Wild West, where there was no limitation on how much you grow, no limitation on, But how many people aren't getting arrested? That's amazing, right?
Green Irene, she's very happy to hear about Marma. She says that's awesome, and that it's great to see the change and the acceptance.
Right. Well, that's the whole point too, is taking the stigma away from everything. Taking the stigma away from people that use drugs, period. Like, not even cannabis. Yeah. Taking the stigma off people that use drugs.
Well, because Kelly and I had a story on the news on the. Oh, there's Gail. She says,
hi, Gail.
She there was an article in there about Jerry Martin, who's talking about opening up a storefront to be able to test or have tested product available for people who are looking for those, in order to be able to give them a clean, safe supply.
You want to go outside?
Right.
Yeah,
right. And that's the thing, like, get the fentanyl. Like, there's so much, and even meth though. Like, meth is so bad, even for people, but still on our choice whether they use it or not. This is going to be something that we, like I said, whether I like it or not, whether I agree with it or not, yes, is it harmful for you or not? That's something that the personal choice, aspect comes in. But at least make it so that it's safe, that they're not killing themselves by being poisoned by fentanyl or other things that they don't know what's in it.
Well, as Dana mentioned in his interview with us, he talked about Viagra being mixed in.
Yeah, and different drugs, Drano, baking soda. Like, who knows what the heck who knows? But again, you shouldn't be ingesting baking soda or Drano either. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It could be anything.
Yeah. No, I was, I'm sure there's some people who would look at what Jerry's doing and go like, holy smokes, what do you mean type attitude about
it's no different than having a mushroom dispensary.
It's about saving lives.
Yeah, really. But I mean, it's no different than having a cannabis dispensary or a mushroom dispensary, as long as you're providing safe access, right? And that's the thing, like, you still, like, I think it's great. Honestly, like, I'm not going to go shop there. I mean, I don't use those kinds of drugs. Yeah. But again, at least you know that they're tested, and what you're getting is what you're getting, and you're not going to die.
Yeah.
Sorry. And in British Columbia now, they're doing this trial where they've actually decriminalized the small levels of, like, 3.5, I think, grams of any narcotic, and as personal use, so that it takes the stigma off the user.
Yeah, and I believe in the article that I read, that's what Jerry was talking about doing. It was a 2.5 gram limit. That way, possession.
Well, no, it's 3. It's actually 3.5. It's an 8. It's 3.5 grams. Yeah, like an 8. It's an 8. Of whatever, like whether it's methamphetamine, fentanyl, cocaine, crack cocaine, whatever.
It won't be over that limit, and the person wouldn't be risking any charges.
Well, you can't. No, that's not true. You can't traffic in it. You can't.
No, I know that. But as far as the person,
but if you're possession and it's on your possession, you are.
as far as the person that's caught with that small quantity,
they won't get charged. No.
correct.
If you're in possession,
that's
no.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
And then
the retailer has to in this situation.
Well, they're trying to control the opioid situation, or not control
Yeah.
it, but try and make it so that at least it's a little safer and it's not so much stigma, and as well not so much resources on that end of things. But the thing with it is, there's so many overdoses that the resources that are being used and taken up by the policing and by the paramedics and by our first responders it's bad. Even in my little town, like I said, I live in a population of 20,000. It's bad.
Really, eh? Yeah.
Like I said,
it even happens here in small town Ontario. So
of course, like that's. I mean, like I'm rural like you. Like I'm, small town. Like I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Just so you know, I see that our guest has appeared, and they have popped in.
I heard the little blink.
Yeah, I heard it too. All right. Yeah. Well, would you like to introduce them?
Sure. That'd be great.
Okay.
So tonight we've got Sandra and Remo Colasanti of Remo's Nutrients, Urban Remo. And hi guys. They're here to join us in a sesh and tell us what they're up to. And so how's it going, guys? Good to see you. So welcome. What's going on? What's new?
Everything.
I know.
We've got new products coming out. We have the supercharged joints now available on the OCS. It's a 2 gram used joint.
I'll try it.
Oh, nice.
Awesome
yeah.
And I got one coming in the mail. Al bought me one because I can't get it in BC. I went to the store and asked for one, but I can't get it, right? Because I'm in BC. So Al went and bought me one from his store in Ontario, and it's on its way in the mail to me.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited because I've been wanting to try one. Yeah.
Well, you know what we tried with this joint is I tried a lot of different samples out, and we literally tried to have the cleanest ash you've ever seen in your life.
Oh.
Because when legalization first happened, I don't know if you smoked any joints when it first happened, especially the pre-rolls. There's black ash and they go out. I know some people say that doesn't matter. To me, it matters a lot.
Me too.
So that's what we got is the nicest ash, maybe in Canada on the face of the planet. I'm not sure, but the cannabis is not irradiated either, which the majority of cannabis in Canada is irradiated. So it's
excellent.
It's super clean and not irradiated.
So our goal is to buy flower from our customers who use Remo Nutrients, right? And pay the farmer first. Okay, so because I think that's one of the biggest problems that's happening right now is or
even just getting paid. Period.
Yeah,
some of these guys aren't getting paid. They do all this work, they bring it to market, and then they're not getting paid. Yeah, it's terrible.
So we're paying the farmer first, and then the catch is they have to use our nutrients, and then which isn't a big catch because they're great nutrients. So
yeah, absolutely.
So fantastic cannabis that saves some money at the same time, right?
Yeah, and at the same time we're moving forward with that, but now we're going to come out with the 2 gram infused with different size formats. Like that won't be until summer though.
Coming a 1 gram joint. We're talking about maybe 3 half-gram joints, something like that.
Yeah,
that's great. No,
sorry. But we couldn't launch, like the first product from Remo being, a dog walker.
No, we could, but I don't need a dog. I need a 2 gram joint.
Right? Hey, you know what? I'm still using my urban grinder because it's the only one that works. Still, after how many years is that? From 2014, I got that grinder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right?
Tamara, I'm gonna let you just continue with some questions. Gail's in the shower, and I gotta go let the dog in.
Oh, okay. See, this is how casual
the
life
happens.
It's alive. It's live. It's things happen. Usually, I got a dog barking or something. But I'm super excited to try the supercharge. But I mean, I've always been a huge fan of your nutrients, anyways. And you guys have always been a great sponsor for Kootenay Cannabis Cup and sent out some supercharged kits of the nutrients. So that's been kind of floating around this area of British Columbia for a while. And with my new job, I'm going to bring in Remo Nutrients into our garden center. So yeah,
and you should also ask us to send you some calendars, because we have the new calendar for 2023, which we always feature our customers who are growing with our nutrients, and then so they have to be either on Instagram or Twitter. We do a contest every year, and then we literally pick out, and we try to tell people, hey, start doing some themes, like, you know, have some chocolates and buds, you know, for Valentine's Day, right?
Right.
Because, but the only
or pumpkins and buds for Halloween.
But you
like
can't
that,
use you can't use what's that program there?
Photoshop.
You can't use Photoshop. That's the only thing, because we do that part after. But
it's a very difficult job, because what happens to the finalists? The pictures are printed up and they're put all over the interior of our warehouse, and we walk around with clipboards, judging and rating each one, and then moving them around, and trying to decide 12. Big job.
Right? I bet you that's hard, because when you have that many people sending you stuff, it's hard to pick just 12 good ones.
It is, and then so the thing is, we try to tell people, hey, start submitting anytime. You don't have to wait until contest entry time. Anyway, that's that for the calendar.
Better early than late, right?
Better early than late. We are going to launch other products too. So, like, first of all, we're going to do another. We did Herbal Dispatch is going to be carrying our supercharged joint. They've just brought it in. Mendo Medicinal is about to do the same. And then we'll also working on having the supercharged joint in in Newfoundland. So we're working on
with Atlantic Cannabis.
And so we'll get that going. And then we're doing a direct delivery batch specifically for BC. And we're buying, we've got flour already coming from one of our customers up north. And we're really actually, it was first.
You forgot the best vape pens in Canada are coming.
Just hang on. Stone Grove is the flour vendor, like the flour supplier for this particular batch of supercharged joints. And then we're going to launch flour and then vape carts. Anyway,
the best vape carts in Canada.
The best vape carts.
Because you know what the problem with a lot of these vape carts out there, Youngblood and I have been trying a lot out, and they're made with distillate and isolate, and then they put fake terps in it.
Just junk.
I don't know. It's gross. Can't
but
stand
some people like them. What's yours? Is yours
no,
distillate?
You know the thing is, no, Sandy.
This is a vape cartridge I got at the store, but it's from Prairie Brothers or something. But I mean, it's not an isolate. But it's also not a full spectrum either, right?
The distillate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, literally, if somebody had access to our vape cart, they'll never smoke the other ones again. They'll never vape those other ones again. Guaranteed.
I will. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, that's why I'm so excited to try the supercharged joint, because I know once I start smoking it, I'm going to be needing it all the time.
Yeah.
Let's hope we can get it in there.
Now, so this here, it's a bit tricky, because it says on there that the total THC is 28.6. Is it 28.6?
It doesn't even say that on the label, actually.
On the front there, it says total THC, total okay? It says right there. So it's actually stronger than that. 29.8? Okay, 29.8.
Yeah.
First line where it says total THC. Anyways,
hold on, no, that says 27.9.
But that's total THC.
Oh no, 17.9 on this one.
Yeah, actually, what it says on here is 17.9 milligrams per
The line
gram.
above it. So this is not decarboxylated. That's what that is.
Yeah,
right?
Because
the line above it is your total THC, which is 29.8.
Yeah, because right here, I'm gonna switch that share screen. And I'm going to go to the OCS. They have that information, the exact information that you're talking about, Sandra.
The 5 o'clock dog just went off.
Yeah, dog just got.
But I'll tell you,
mine start whining about this time too.
I went into the local guy there. And so he wouldn't order them in for me. But here you go. 20. It says here 25 to 35% THC.
Yeah. Now,
that's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's as right as it's going to be. It's a bit complicated.
Correct.
So, but at the same time, we went with the result with that we would, the consumer would pay less tax.
Right. Okay. Less tax. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
500 to 600 milligrams of THC in it.
Yeah. It's all very confusing, but
Yeah.
it's good. And what did you think? Did you think it was strong enough?
Oh, I was very happy with it. Just so you know, because of I grabbed that first one. When I grabbed Tamara's, I grabbed myself a second one, another one to have.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
And
thanks for the support.
I've only bought 3 pre-rolls out of all the joints I've bought, and one other one was an infused one, and it was 3 half-gram joints, and I just laughed at them because they were 3/4 of it was like a filter, or like 2/3 of a filter. I just thought, well, what's this? So
I don't buy
nice
pre-rolls usually either, because
that
that's the
was
same
not
thing.
an issue.
And then it tastes like
That was not
sawdust.
an issue with this. So yeah, I went out and bought another one. I'm going to a gathering on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're going to probably hotbox the camper while I'm there.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I bet you this took, unfortunately we did put it out part way. The friend I was smoking it with, he had enough, and I thought, okay, there's still a full joint worth here, so I'm just going to keep that for later. And but I would think it would probably take 20-25 minutes to smoke this joint.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We just tell people don't chief on, like don't haul on it too much, like don't, because it's just
just a slow even draw and turn the joint, and it'll go perfect. You get that nice resin ring. You'll get that perfect ash. It looks like it's cone shape. Looks like an ice cream cone.
It was glistening.
Nice.
It's like normally on a paper I'll see that brown line as it comes down. But this was actually glistening of like an oil on the outside of the paper as it was burning. Now, it burned a little bit off the side, but I noticed in the pictures that I posted, when it was lit, I actually lit it off to the side a little bit, which would have caused that. And then once it straightened out, it just burned straight and smooth. And as you mentioned at the beginning, key was gray ash. I took a close-up picture and included that in my little review that I did on my Facebook page.
I always tell you, smell the container.
Gray. Pardon me?
Smell the container when you open it. You can smell the flower. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Another tip, before you smoke it, maybe take it out and just roll it a little bit and just loosen it up, and it seems to burn a lot better.
Okay. Yeah. It was. We were really happy. We were really happy with it. The way things worked out,
Well, that's awesome.
The store owners that I talked to, they were concerned about its size, and like I said, the guy,
something's got to be a big dog.
Yeah,
and didn't you say that those were the last 2 that he had left, Al? That he was worried about selling them all, and then when you went back to get them, there was only 2 left.
Yeah. He brought them in because I had recommended them. And because my friend Wayne, he owns a store next door, which is Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. It was Canada's. He did the Peterborough 420s. So they're friends and all that. So he took my advice. I told him about Remo. He didn't know anything about you, Remo. So I told him all about you.
He must be young. He must be young.
Yeah. And so he brought him in, sold me the joint. And then the next time I went in, or I called him because I didn't know if he'd have any, he told me he had 2 left. I said, I'll grab them. And then he told me the other 5 he sold just based on the information that I told him about the joint and about Remo.
Right on. Yeah. The other thing we're doing is we are launching a dry product.
Wow.
Like a dry, this is what this is.
Remo Elements.
Yeah.
It's a 3-part system.
Oh, Food products.
Yeah, so we're gonna do. So it's we're gonna call it the Athena Killer. No, we're not.
You can't. That's negative.
We can't say that. But we looked at, hang on, he's just gonna take care of Stella because.
No, you go right ahead. That's all good.
Sorry. But yeah, so we were looking at we've been looking at all these dry like salt lines. This is a straight up salt line for high volume, not in not in the soil, right? It's more like for like in the greenhouse on the tables, that kind of thing. Anyways, we are going to launch it very, very soon. So it's very exciting. Nice. And then if people want to, because they want to add, for example, they could use the base, and then when it comes with a bloom booster, then you could add like our Velo Kelp and the Nature's Candy, because the Nature's Candy is great because it has your amino acids, like 14 amino acids, free for flavor and smell. So if you're doing extracts, you'll actually get a higher return and a nicer smell. So these are things that are, because it's all your sugars, that kind of stuff. And then, so that's what we're doing here. And then we're looking at, like I said, other products. And our biggest focus is buying flour from our customers and getting it sold so that they can stay alive. Because right now, a lot of smaller companies, the micros, because of all the difficulty of regulation and all the costs, like people have no idea how difficult it is. Like for example, say you sell a product into Ontario on the OCS, and you sell 4 boxes. Well, you have to put it on a pallet to ship it to Ontario. Well, that pallet from Canada, from BC, is costing $800. So companies can go broke by doing that. So there's, we need to figure out solutions to that and, go from there. But, other than that, we still always support Grow Your Own. Remo, can you talk to the dog? Sorry, guys.
Mine's heard it, and mine's looking around. What's going on?
Yeah, your dog's wondering what's.
My dogs are actually like locked up, not locked up, but they're in behind gates in the kitchen, and the old ones are on the bed, and they're so old now that they don't pay attention to much.
Yeah, no, it's I love dogs, so we have one cat, and and then we're also looking at selling our house and we're buying a farm. So that's where it's going to get really interesting.
Just so you know, what I'm laughing at is I'm going to have to get to the comments before we go to our commercial break. All right.
You're going to have to what?
I'm going to have to get to the comments that are coming in from our commercial. We got some here. Okay. I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry. But just so you know, these are from one of the hosts here on the network. She has a couple of shows, and that's Green Irene, and she says, congratulations on the amazing business growth. I've been asking about your dispensaries. She loves the fact that you don't use radiation, and that you have award-winning nutrients.
We do, and at the same time, we tried to make something that was, we don't have the budget for the fancy parties or, that kind of stuff. We literally, even doing the show, we literally have to do a table and a pull-up or a background, and that's it. We can't afford these crazy, because somebody's got to pay for it somewhere. And so you're just going to build that into the nutrients, and we're like, no, farmers can't afford to do that. Home growers can't afford to do that. They shouldn't have to pay for that. But people don't realize that when you make a nutrient product or any products, let's say a dress for the retail store, you have to make it at such a price where the distributor can buy it, make some money, and they sell it to the retail stores, and then they make some money. It's all up the chain, right? So unfortunately, in our situation, we have to figure out, okay, right now the farmers are really taking it in a hard, and that's why paying them last, that's the one thing about the dispensary model that we loved so much, was that the dispensary, the farmers got paid first. They can keep their lights on, they keep the mortgages being paid, and they keep their workers employed. So that's the biggest thing. It's that full circle thing, right? So we looked at it as, what can we do that will give us the most help to our customers, right? And so we figured, what can we do to be ancillary? So another thing when we buy this farm is that we're going to become a nursery. So all of our genetics, and we've been doing a lot of breeding over the years, are going to actually be able to get that all to fruition. And so when we do farm to table, our goal is to allow it so that people can buy their plants, or for plants, or their medical plants. Okay, so that's that part. And then we also just got our medical sales license. So what that means.
Oh, here goes the dog again.
So medical sales license, non-possession at this point until we move, which means we're going to set it up so that we have doctors, and for the most part, you'll have the options to pick which one. There'll be doctors that are free, and that whole bit. And then we're going to use a couple of good friends of ours to do fulfillment, and because this way you have all the choices that you want. So, for example, Herbal Dispatch has 600 SKUs. So if you sign up with us, you can do this 600. So that's the biggest problem that has been too, is that with the medical sales license, if you sign up with one LP, you're limited to whatever they have. With what we're doing, you're not going to be limited by that anymore.
No, that's right.
Well, if we get everybody on board, we'll have upward of 60 different producers working with us on that.
Well, we're talking about the medical sales license.
Oh, with that.
So that's different. Yeah. So, for example, Herbal Dispatch will be a fulfiller, and they have 600 SKUs. So, and then we'll work with Mendo on the other side of the country. So instead of having products going, we also have to think about what can we do to reduce our, the footprint of what we're doing, right? Instead of ship, because right now they make you ship things from one side of the country to another side of the country and back and forth. That's just stupid. So what can we do to reduce our footprint on the planet and save costs too? Because all that stuff just costs a bunch of money that we don't need.
Yeah, and eliminate those skids.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for us to go. For a break. It's about a 3-minute commercial. We'll be back after that when we continue our discussion with our talk with Sandra and Remo. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network social media locations and CBG TV.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to savethevcbc@gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Are you watching television on Roku, Fire, maybe an Apple TV or even Chromecast? If you are, then download the Boxcast app and search for CBG TV.
CBG TV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com. You're watching the Cannabis Broadcasting Group here at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Hey, welcome back. You're watching the Pace Radio Show, and we are live here with Sandra and Remo, and we're talking supercharged joints, nutrients, growing cannabis, and whatever else comes along. If you got one of those supercharged joints in your hand, Remo?
No, this is just, it's unleaded, but it's a 2-grammer.
It's a,
yeah. So it's super interesting that you're just gonna, that you can just, that you've done all this. Like, wow. What a lot of work.
It's been a lot of work, but we wanted to show people how they could do it too and not have to have an LP, because we don't have an LP, right? So
there's a few other guys doing it. Pistol in Paris, they have no licenses. Same with Ghost Drops.
Yeah.
There's brands.
That's right.
So it can be done.
Okay.
You can make with processors and with suppliers and put something together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. And then
Great.
it's a win-win for everybody, because everybody's, doing processing and, licensing and still getting it out to the people. Right.
Yeah. And that's why we wanted to, we picked the supercharged joint. Ironically, we did this when we did our gel, apparently. We picked the most difficult product to make. And then we got through that process because we figured if we could make the gel, we could easily do the rest. Same deal with a supercharged joint.
But supercharged joint, we literally have done decades of R&D on this product, rolling these joints.
Yes, exactly. Like I was telling somebody about it, and I said, back in the Treating Yourself days at the expo, I said I had an opportunity to smoke joints with Remo back then, and I just thought that there's no way it could be just a little weed joint, right? So I was really glad, you got the 2-gram joint. But if you look into the writing, it says it's equivalent to an 8-gram joint.
It is,
according to the information, because of the diamonds that are in it and the kiff that's in it. They say it's equivalent to 8 grams, which is closer to that Canon joint.
Yeah.
So it's 30% extract. It's 10% keef and 20% diamonds to give it the kick, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So eventually we're gonna work on supercharged deconstructed, right? So.
But there's gonna be different versions of supercharged joints with different inputs, different flour. We put shatter in these things. We can put distillate. Maybe roll it in keef so you have it looking like a powdered donut on the outside.
It's harder to do that because of the.
I've seen it been done. Okay. It can be done.
It can be done.
We dream it up. It's the QA's that kill us.
On the production end of this, are these like hand rolled, or are they machine? Like how are they produced?
It was actually done with a sluice box.
What they do is they have this box. There's cones in the bottom of it. And they put the top on it, and they take the already milled mixed cannabis with diamonds and keef, and they put it on top, and they have a little trowel, and they trowel until all the things are full.
It's like a bump box, but
then they hit this
this is actually
switch,
better.
and it vibrates it down. And then they take the top off, they take them all out, and there's a station with a couple guys working at it, and they have a tray. They have this special scoop tool, and what they do is each one's supposed to be quality controlled, and they're supposed to look at it. And if there's a vacant area down by the filter, they stuff it to make sure it's full. So they stuff it a bit, they throw it to the scale, and then if it's needing more, they just add it, twist the end, and go on to the next one. So it's a little slower than those machines that pump out thousands of them. But we're trying to make a quality craft product here, so it's
absolutely. Yeah, I seen something today. It was like basically they were just shooting it through, and it was like one big paper, and they were just cutting it, and it was a machine.
That's the machine. That's a cigarette machine.
Yeah,
that's Chris's machine out and out in Newfoundland. It was just moved there from Edmonton.
But they weren't rolling cigarettes. They were rolling cannabis.
No, they weren't rolling cigarettes, but that's this technology, and they've modified it, and it's actually pretty cool because it makes.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it makes
those little 10-packs, right?
Yeah, it can make.
Yeah, they look like like players playing cigarettes. Like a cigarette with no filter, and that's about the size that these joints were all being cut, the exact same size, and then they could make like a 25-pack of joints, like a pack of cigarettes.
I'm not against that. Industrialize it.
Right. No, it was a small company. It wasn't. It was on Facebook. I can't even remember where I seen it, but yeah.
No, that was on Twitter. It was on Twitter probably.
I'm not on Twitter.
Also, Remo's. Oh, cool. Remo's going to be judging a legal cannabis cup in Edmonton.
Yeah, with the Grow Up.
With Grow Up conference in May.
Canadian Cannabis Competition.
Yeah, and so that's going to be an interesting
Canadian Cannabis Championship.
Canadian Cannabis Championship. And then we're doing we can't say too much about that one yet.
Lots of stuff coming.
We got lots of stuff coming. So including one for growers specifically where they grow one strain at their facility, and then there's actually large cash and prize awards for it.
I think they have $400,000 of prize money.
$400,000 worth of prize money
available.
So yeah,
but we can't really talk about that.
Can't really talk about it too much.
That's going to be this new competition that's going to come to town. That's going to blow all the rest of the competitions away.
Well, we'll see about that. I have my doubts.
I'm somebody doubting it. Nobody put that much prize money up ever.
Well, that's true, right? So prize money. These trophies are, like, come on. Actually, treating yourself, and Remo pointed this out, the War Bong that you got along with your cup was because it was worth $1,000, was pretty cool. So, but I mean,
we got a bunch of those.
Yeah, we got a bunch of those. So,
you do. Don't you? I remember.
Nope, we're about to go on.
Oh, here we go.
I opened up the container.
How does it smell?
It smells good. It smells like bud. Doesn't smell like anything old or rotten or anything like that.
Good.
There you go with that twisted end that you talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that thing's huge.
A little bit of a.
That's the thing is you got to take your fingers there and adjust that, and that's unfortunately there you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Give it a bang. Just bang it down a little bit. It'll be fine.
Yeah. There we go. But it's a lot of weed in there, so it's going to be heavy, right?
It is heavy. You can feel it. It's a bat. It's a baseball bat, is what it is.
That's why I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to mine when it shows up to the next show, so I can smoke it on the air.
Well, we tell people if you can't smoke it, if you can't smoke it all at once, it's okay. Just tap it out, put it back in the container, then you can pull it out later and light it, and away you go. So
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly what I did.
Joel, our son-in-law, got 4 sessions out of it. So
that lost me a week.
Right?
I'm such a lightweight now
agree.
because I went and got a job, so I don't smoke as much as I used to because I'm working all day, and
Yeah.
I get home now. Oh yeah, it maybe lasts me 2 weeks.
Are you allowed to smoke at work?
No, because this is like it's a pretty straight laced. But like I said, she's interested in bringing in nutrients. She's wanting to be licensed for a nursery, like so she can have clones to sell to people for their 4 legal plants, but doesn't know how to go about doing that. So
yeah, that's the thing is like, so we're eventually going to we're thinking, because we were talking about this with Dawn and Carol, right, from Weeds, and we were talking about what you could do is maybe get people to place orders for, and these are delivery dates. We show up once a week or whatever, whenever there's orders, and drop them off so that they're fresh, because it's hard to keep them in a store because you don't know what contaminants are going to be there, bugs, powdery mildew, whatever, right? I don't want to take that kind of a chance with my babies.
Yeah.
Well, then also the bud tenders have to mix up nutrient solution and feed it to plants.
Yeah.
You have to have a grow room there and stuff. That's
not going to work.
That's a whole different thing.
Like when it comes to the clones, like I haven't personally seen any clones in the store anywhere.
Yeah, not yet.
It needs to happen.
No. They're coming eventually. How are they going to maintain them on the shelf?
That's what I'm saying.
It's got to be same day pickup.
Yeah, has to be same day pickup. Sorry.
I'm not sure what's going on.
That's why I said that happens around here a lot too.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you got to ship things across the country.
It's okay. It's tiring.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It would have to be where someone pre-ordered them
Yeah.
for delivery into the store.
So when we have our website, if you're a patient, you can also be able to order clones and seeds. So that'll be, it's going to, like, we got licensed through, the name's Cola Farms, but it's going to be called Cola Hub.
Cola what?
Cola Hub. And just so you know, it's our last name, Cola, so like big Cola.
Yeah.
Happens to be our last name. So yeah.
We're fortunate there.
I actually always thought it was because of the buds that Remo grows is why the cola came in, because I saw the cola stuff. I thought, it must be about his buds. I never even connected it to your last name until actually today when I was typing out the information. I thought,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's all connected, right? So
I think it's
all connected.
Yeah. So it's going to be. I mean, I'm hearing that this year is going to be a much better year for people. So I'm hoping that we start getting actually the lift event was pretty good.
People showed up. I couldn't believe it. And I had my doubts too, because the first day it was raining like crazy. The industry day, and it was packed. And the second day, which was the public day, it was sunny out. It was beautiful. But it wasn't as busy as industry day, but it's still very busy. Yeah, it was busy, and at the same time, there was a lot of people smoking outside, and it was perfect. It was perfect. It wasn't. It was actually the location where they were smoking. I mean, it wasn't super convenient. It had to go up 2 sets of escalators, but whatever. To be completely honest, it's a really nice location, but I think the wrong location for a cannabis event. Because of that. Why do you need to go 2 kilometers away to smoke a joint from your group? That's crazy. It's not 2 kilometers. It's 2 escalators. I'm exaggerating.
Well, I don't know, but I always enjoyed the balcony at the TY Expo when that was in play.
We don't get to have that anymore either, right?
No.
That was the best part.
Makes everybody go out front. Yeah.
Well, I think
unacceptable.
It's not acceptable. In fact, we're talking to the guy. There's a young man who was organizing it, and basically has said, no, go and do that there. So we're like, okay. And they did really good events. It was very good, very well organized, and you know what? It was pretty good.
No, but next year, honestly, if they're going to do it again, put it as a P&E, so they don't have to go.
The problem with the P&E is the lack of hotels. Downtown Vancouver is where all the hotels. When you've got people coming in from out of town, you have to have hotels.
Got to be a better location.
There isn't. That's the problem.
That's the problem, man. They don't have a big place with a big hotel attached to it.
You've got to have hotels. You've got to have restaurants, because you're having
maybe
thousands of people come in. Like, so Richmond's against weed.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, Richmond's completely against weed, so forget that. But yeah.
Oh, really? Did they opt out? Because you guys could opt out and
they
be
did opt out. Yeah, they did opt out. So it's like, it's not a place I would go.
There's always hope. Believe me. While we were waiting for you guys to come in, I was sharing a story with Tamara because I lived in a town here in Ontario that opted out of cannabis retail stores as well. And for 5 years now, I've been sort of, rubbing it in and bringing it up, make sure it never got forgotten. And one of the first acts in the first meetings, there was like, I'm going to say probably the second meeting, but probably the real first meeting of the council. The new council, they voted to opt in to allow the retail stores.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, eventually, they should make it connected to the revenue. Like it's funny because I was talking to the CRA lady that was at the booth, right? And she basically said, if you said, we don't have an issue with paying taxes so much, although this is overtaxed, this is ridiculous. But it's your messaging. If you said to us, okay, we made $1 billion in taxes and we spent $100 million on, building a new schools, or we spent $100 million on earthquake upgrades, or $100 million on healthcare. We like that. It's just about the messaging. And she's like, we can't do that because that's just too political. And she goes, we're not even allowed to tell people we were here because that could be considered favoritism. So I'm just like, well, that's, this is a big problem. Crazy. This is a big problem that in the first place, why people don't talk to each other. If we could sit down and talk to each other and say, hey, what are the problems that are affecting what your business?
I have brought that up at several meetings that I have attended with the party and said, why aren't you stepping up and telling people that the $5.8 billion in revenue from cannabis industry is what has done this, this, and this, and this. Break it down and let them know how much has gone back to the provinces, if anything, and at least start telling the truth about where the money's coming from.
Yes.
And I've brought that up several times. So,
and the problem is it just goes into general revenue. And people get pissed off about it, right? And that's because they don't know, there's no accountability. All they see it as politicians on fancy boat cruises or in fancy junkets to Switzerland.
Oh, no, they're actually, but the thing of it is that they are using it.
Like, they are.
Like I said, they are using it because in our area alone, like Fairmont just got another $13.8 billion to redo the whole hot springs and everything. And all that money is federal money.
Right.
So it is being used, but you're right. But again, infrastructure is a big thing, and that's where a lot of it's going. But there's 75% of it that it actually gets sent back to the provinces. So then you have to ask the provinces, what are you doing with that 75% of the cannabis transfer that you're getting every month? Because they are getting the cannabis transfer. The guy that runs the store here told me he actually sends the taxes directly to the province. So the provinces are getting 75% of the taxes, and the federal government's getting 25%. So it's not even it's not even to ask the federal government where the marijuana money is. Ask the federal or the provincial governments where the money is.
Yeah, and I think that's where the issues that we all have. Like none of us object. Like I know there's a group of people who are like defund everything, and let it all go to hell. But the reality is I liked my paved roads. I like knowing that, like the subsidized
firefighters, and we've got, paramedics, and we've got
that's happened for the first time. Like we were talking about subsidized daycare when my daughter was 5 years old, and she's 38 now.
Oh, or dental for kids under 12 or 12 and under for low income families. Like, oh my God, don't do that.
No, these are things that might benefit society. So
right.
Yeah. But again, like I said, but they have to start. People have to realize that that's where the money goes, right?
It's good to see that cannabis has been able to help society and help bring in these things.
Exactly.
It's
right. Yeah, and we always knew that, but
it did that before.
Yeah, it
But,
did.
you know,
Well,
it's kind of hidden.
but here's another
It did,
reality.
yeah, it
Our
did.
tax
Cost
base,
will go up.
our population is not growing as quickly as it should be.
Yeah.
Our aging citizens aren't working. So when you don't have working people, there's no income tax to throw back into that general coffer to keep all these things that we've got in society running, like our infrastructure, healthcare, education, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we've got an aging society and our kids aren't having 20 kids.
No,
I didn't have 20 kids. You didn't have 20 kids, right? Like that's the thing. We've got more geographic than population, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as that, I still am glad we, you know, like I know some days I wake up and say this whole weed thing is a nightmare because like legalization is, you know, not what we all wanted it or expected it to be.
Correct.
Oh,
You know?
no. Oh, no.
No.
But
No.
You know what I thought I'd never see was the crash of the cannabis market, both in the gray market and in the legal market, because it's like the lowest prices I've ever seen in my life. Like
me too.
$500 pounds in British Columbia.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It's
insane.
gone down. That's insane. I thought it was at $300 a pound. Holy moly!
We had a place here in Ontario. We had a place here in Ontario at one of the reserves that was selling ounces for $20.
Wow.
Last time I bought an ounce for $20, I was going to high school in grade 9 in the 70s. Like, what the hell?
Was it any good or was it like grass?
I don't know. It wasn't near me. It was in the newspaper, but it wasn't, that one wasn't near me. But I often see it advertised on the reserves near me. They have one an hour to the east and one to the west, and under $100, like $50 ounces, $60 ounces.
That's very common.
Yeah.
Great time to be a consumer. A terrible time to be a producer. But it's not
like there's hardly anybody producing anymore. Even the black market, it's not worth it. It's too expensive. It costs more to grow than it does. You know, there's no market for it. Even like the black market, there's no market. Yeah. There's no dispensary to take it to. People are buying from their local dealer. They're going to the store because the store's got 300 choices and the dealer's got some crap with seeds in it.
And doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Well,
so it's one thing I will say about legalization is that I know when I go to get something, I know that it's been tested. I know it's good. It's not going to be full of seeds. It's not going to be moldy. It's not going to be gross. I've had some really decent cannabis coming out of this. But I also buy BC Craft all the time. Like BC Black Craft always, right?
There's lots of good legacy weed around, you know, where I'm at. That is like outstanding, but the cheapest prices I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Yeah. It's not sustainable. It's not.
No, it's not sustainable. No. And that's why we're doing what we're doing with buying flour from our customers. And we're going to, you know,
but those guys are getting beat up. On the legal side, like let's say you're a micro or an LP and, you know, you decide to go through all this stuff and spend millions of dollars, take all this time to become a producer. And at the end of it, if you can sell your cannabis, that's if, and everything goes right, because you have to jump through all these hoops and ask to pass all these protocols and ask to go through all this testing and blah, blah, blah. You could hope to get maybe $1 to $3 a gram.
On the legal side.
That's on the legal side. If you can sell it. Because there's that too.
Yeah. And at the same time,
maybe nobody wants it.
Not only is
they've had to destroy so much. They've had to destroy so much of it too.
Yeah. Well, that should be destroyed. It's like old greenhouse weed from the big LPs that probably was junk anyway. I'm good to see that go.
Right? That would go into a joint that said it contained cannabis, but they wouldn't have any information as far as what it was. Because that's what I ran into when I bought my one set of infused joints. It said premium bud. So I asked the guy at the counter, "What do you mean by premium bud?" And he says, "Well, premium bud." They couldn't tell me what was in it, right? It was just like,
but I know that anything that I bought pre-rolled tasted like it tasted like like not that I've ever, but shavings, like it was gross. Pencil shavings. It tasted like that's what pencil shavings. It's like, what are they rolling this and like, is it just stalk and like leaf? Like, what the hell is this stuff? And it was this big. Like, like this much was filter, this much was joint, and the end was rolled up, and there was this much on the end. That was the one really pre-roll I ever bought.
Yeah. Well, and I don't blame you. And that's the thing we're worried about too, right? Is But and I hate to say this, but young people have stopped. They don't want to roll their own joints anymore. They want the convenience of
we have a whole generation of kids that have gone to a weed store, don't have a dealer, don't know a dealer, and just gone, they get their 6-pack, they go get a couple pre-rolls, and they go hit the party, because they're of age now or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't want to roll joints. It's absolutely bizarre.
So we're gonna,
for us, it was a ritual. We got the bud, we smelt the bud, we broke it apart, we put it in the grinder. You start this joint. I don't know. It's a
filter rolled out.
Yeah.
So
I always figured pre-rolls would be big because of the convenience of being able just to go in. Yeah. It's already rolled. It's all ready to go. So on and so forth. I pre-roll my own joints on a daily basis, but because I couldn't understand standing out in the cold, grinding up your cannabis and trying to protect it from the wind.
That would be me.
But that's what people do.
In the wind, the rain, on the back of a boat, on a chairlift. Yeah. It doesn't matter. In the rain, in the snow. I don't care. I'll roll joints anywhere.
Yeah. Walking down the stairs. So we're going to start doing videos, a series
dedicated
of going to retail stores, like do pop-ups where people can get invited to go. And then we'll
we'll smoke joints with people. It'll be awesome.
Roll with Remo kind of thing. Remo will teach how to roll.
That's a good idea.
I'll do 3 different joints. I'll just do like a regular 2-gram joint. Maybe I'll do like a 2-up joint. And we can do a supercharged joint. Or I can hand roll a home joint or something. I don't know.
I wouldn't bother.
I have a series on YouTube of just rolling joints, and actually it's some of my best videos.
Right?
Yeah. Good.
Gotta show
them. Friends just don't want to roll joints anymore either. They're my age. They're like, you know what I like the best? I can just go buy like 5 joints in a pack.
They like the vape carts too for that reason, right? Especially what we notice is the women like the vape carts. And
you can use those things almost anywhere.
And you don't.
But you know what I do? I'm using this is my shatterizer. Like this is my shatterizer battery. Right.
Nice.
So I've got that, and this is my Yokan battery.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? So I'm using but these are actually like this one is not but this one is. This one's from the store.
Yeah. Right.
But this one isn't. But again, like I've got,
which one's better?
You know what? They're pretty different, but they're pretty much they're equal on what they do. Right. This one I could taste a little better, but it's got like a melony. So I don't know, right? And this one's kind of harsher, but you can see the difference in color, right?
Yeah.
This is more of an RSO.
Yeah.
But this one was sent by a mutual friend, but I think it was Russian Cafe or something along them lines. I don't know. It tastes kind of This one's okay.
Before we go to break, one more break here. Some more messages from Green Irene. She says, "How can I order a supercharged joint now? It's not at my local dispensary." And then a couple minutes later, she says, "Just ordered from the OCS, 3 to 5 business days for delivery. Can't wait to review and add to the consumption journal."
Nice.
All right.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Green Irene.
Well, I went to my store too, I'm in BC, and I said to the guy that owns the store, I go, "Do you have this?" He goes, "No." I says, "Can you get this?" He goes, "No." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because it's not been offered to us in BC yet." He goes, I go, "Well, my friends at Ontario," he goes, "That's what happens." He goes, "Everything gets offered
down by the BCLDB.
We live here too.
BCLDB turned us down.
Oh, he told me
okay. Down, really? Wow. Holy smokes. Well,
even though we're in the OCS first, so we're already out there.
And that's why we did it, because we figured they were going to turn us down first. So we're going to do a direct delivery batch specifically for BC that will go through Herbal Dispatch. So the stores can order it. They're already signed up for direct delivery. So you'll see I think all the Seed and Stone stores.
AR Cannabis.
Spirit Leafs. Which other ones? Weeds, Glass, and Gifts, of course. And so lots of different. Andrea's store, which is
The Village.
The Village Bloomery, right? So lots of local stores and local support. So we're excited. So
that's
it
good.
was Spirit Leaf. It was Spirit Leaf. It was Spirit Leaf location here in Campbellford that offered to bring him in for me. So it was good to see that he sold out the first batch pretty quick, and he says he's ordering more, and they'll be in next Tuesday or Wednesday for me to stop in. So
yeah.
All right. Time for us to take another break. We'll be back after we pay some bills, and we'll continue our discussion with Sandra and Remo. You're watching or maybe listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you watching television on Roku, Fire, maybe an Apple TV or even Chromecast? If you are, then download the Boxcast app and search for CBG TV.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in.
You know what I
into the
just
program.
realized? That my lighter leash is a Remo lighter leash.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I didn't realize that. That's how like one of the cups, like, you know, like I got the supercharged kits that came with one. Yeah. There you go. I've had that for, I don't know, forever. Yeah. I just realized that I'm looking at it, holding it in my hand, going, "Oh shit, this is a Remo's lighter leash too."
You know what, Tamara? That lighter leash will increase your lighter retention by 100%.
Right?
Yeah, amazing, right?
I hate the leashes. Not going to events or rallies or whatever. My lighter supply has really dwindled over the years. And it was never done on purpose. It was never done on purpose. But lighter leashes helps.
I can send you a bunch if you like. I'll send you a bunch. And
I love them. They're the best because, like I said, even if I just throw it in my purse, I can at least I can find it. Because I don't usually put it on I don't hang it off my pants anymore or anything like that. But even just have it, and I know where it is. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we're actually going to make our rolling papers available now for purchase in the retail store. So we're going to start doing merch. So you'll see eventually we're going to have a clothing line because you got to do that, right?
So these rolling papers are currently available on Amazon.
Yeah. You can buy them
on Amazon.
Yeah. And they're actually pretty reasonably priced. I think it works out to 70 cents a pack.
Let's see the size of them again.
Is that a regular?
Yeah, regular 1 1/4.
1 1/4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
gonna come out with some
papers inside.
They're element papers, just so anybody wants to know. So
Actually,
I know
they're ultra thin rice paper.
Right.
That's how thin what was the camera, so you can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See through.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You can.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, clear as a bell for sure. Even
and the glue's good because that's one of my complaints is that I don't like glue failure. And some of these rolling paper brands, they don't have good glue. I was spoiled. Zigzag has the best glue in the world. It always sticks. But
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm a blue zigzag girl. I've been a blue zigzag girl since I started smoking. And
that's what I grew up with. But those aren't big enough. These are bigger.
Yeah, that's like I said, I'm a lightweight now.
It's funny that you say that because during COVID, he actually got a lot of those because he's not sharing a lot of joints, right? So he's smoking those.
Right.
He's smoking those for that reason, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing we're also doing is
they can help stretch it out.
Yeah, we've signed up with we've joined Segra, which is a tissue culture company, and they sell tissue basically plants around the world. And so we are bringing our genetics in there.
We're going to share our genetics with them to make it available to everybody.
Nice. So they'll have your plant tissues.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of gems. So we're going to clean them up, which is going to take, it's going to take
a minute. It brings it back to its original.
Those big plants that everybody watches on your videos, they'll be able to get access to those strains and they'll be able to grow those big plants as well.
Exactly.
Big buds,
That's right.
Big buds. Well, you can see it's that's why I was all confused about the cola name. So
yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting because a lot of there's a viroid. It's called hop latent viroid.
Oh yeah.
That's going around. It's probably
devil.
in 60% of the cannabis facilities right now.
You can really tell when a plant has it. It stunts it. The branches, they come out, straight off the plant, and they're very weak. Like you brush them, the branches will break.
It's like a virus going around.
Yeah, it's a virus. Latent stop virus. It's terrible. And also, like later on, if you see a plant that's budding out, you'll see a bud, and it'll be like dry leaves on it. And the reason it has dry leaves, literally. The root system is shutting down and the plant is dying. It's not able to take water up anymore. It's awful. And it spreads very easily to other strains and take your own garden.
Even your tools, like if you're picking leaves off from one plant and you go touch another plant, you can spread it that way. So it's very,
and the seeds aren't safe either. We thought, no problem, use seeds. No, you infected seeds. So the best
it's right in the genetics.
It's right into the
DNA of it.
It's been around since
and obviously this isn't something that's visible. You can't see it.
You can see it once you recognize it.
Is growing. That's when you see it. Not at the seed stage.
So
or even the clone stage for that matter.
We figure it started because of the big clone houses, because when your job is to take clones and you're doing, say, your job is to do 600 clones in a day.
You're just filling trays.
You're just filling trays.
You're taking cuttings probably from plants
that are sick.
And probably not the nicest cuttings in some cases. We're in our own gardens. We never do that. It's always the best of the best. And we throw out the crappy ones, right?
Yeah. So we never have done that. So that's kind of, so that's something that when we're doing genetics, right, we'll make sure that they're guaranteed viroid free.
Yeah, well, the best way to beat it is the tissue culture, because they actually, the way they do it is they take the cutting at the very top before, where it's growing, before it even gets infected. And they make
already at the grow
piece
point.
of their stem. And from that, they can bring the plant back.
But it's usually, in order to bring it into the facility in the first place, they check it, they test it 3 times to make sure it doesn't have the viroid. So it's a really interesting technology. And,
the thing is, it's new to cannabis, but it's actually been around the food industry for over 100 years now.
Yeah.
So it's not new, but it's new to us.
All of our strawberry plants, all of our blueberry plants are all done through tissue culture. And it's because they're very prone to disease. So this is a way of making sure that every time you do this, it's a healthy plant. So, yeah.
So as far as the recreational market, when it comes to those tissues, would that be where a nursery maybe receives the tissue and then grows it to a clone stage to be able to,
that's actually called Generation 1. Yeah, that's correct. Actually, that's what we're planning on doing. We're planning on getting mothers back, which is Generation 0, veg them huge, and then take cuttings from that and offer that to people or facilities, whoever wants it, right?
Yeah.
And at a reasonable price. And the thing is about tissue culture, on average, because you're offering clean plants, you get about 20% more yield because the vigor's back. It produces the big buds. Because you know what? There's one thing I learned from Dr. Swamp is that, remember the whole thing about genetic fade? People say, hey, you have a mom and you have it for a while, and then initially gave you huge buds that were beautiful.
I've got a strain I've had for 12 years. 12 years I'm growing a strain right now. So there you go.
Nice. Well, I've seen Jeff Tech do it with Afghani Bull Rider, and he's had no problems. But sometimes, they'll start off with big stuff, and over time, it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller, and people say that's genetic fade. Well, that's not genetic fade. What's actually happened is that the plant is diseased.
And it's collecting the diseases.
And it's collecting diseases even, and that's why it's producing less and harder to root and all that. So tissue culture will help return the vigor, and it'll clean up a lot of those diseases. Even like powdery mildew, that's like right in the tissue. It helps get rid of that. So it's like a clean start, a clean slate.
Nice.
Well, I understand what you're saying. Because powdery mildew is something like, it's almost like if it's in the genetics, it's you're
Some strains are more prone to it. Yeah.
Like the Kush strains, and especially with humidity and stuff, like it. Even out here, like it's just everywhere. Like not even on your pot plants. It's also on your daisies. It's just like so. PM is like
But there's a way. There's a way to beat it. If you run a closed room and you burn a little bit of sulfur to make sure you don't have any spores or anything in your room, and you have the right VPD and grow environment, you can have plants that are prone to powdery mildew, and it doesn't come out. It's when the grow environment is wrong. That's when you have a lot of problems with the powdery mildew. Yeah.
So that's the thing is, Tamara, when you're
it's
looking
very connected to the moisture, though.
Doing what you're going to be doing. So we learned about this. This guy in Germany sent us this book, all in German, and this is like 50-year-old book about understanding VPD, vapor pressure deficit, and it's really important for us to all learn about this because we've been growing weed all wrong.
So you know what? I think the best analogy is you've ever heard the term hothouse tomatoes?
Yeah.
If you go to a greenhouse that's growing tomatoes, you go in there and it's very tropical and moist, and all the plants are thriving a lot. Yeah. Well, cannabis plants are very close to tomato plants, and they like this environment too. So the thing is a lot of the time, a lot of information that's out there, they encourage people to build these grow rooms and make them cold and dry, which is not good. And actually, if you live in the interior, let's say Alberta or interior British Columbia, you have to supplement the air, with humidity. Otherwise, the plants look really bad, especially when you're like, 30% humidity. The plants start having these weird spots on them. They look very unhappy. So a little humidity goes a long way with a cannabis plant. So it's and it's weird when you have the right VPD and you get the correct transpiration happening in the plant. You get like accelerated growth like you wouldn't believe. So not only do you get, you don't have problems with powdery mildew anymore, but your plants grow faster, bigger, or healthier. It totally works. And actually, most of the big LPs in Alberta, they're using this. Well, but they don't have a choice.
Right.
It's so dry, right?
I've never had anything to do with the tissue end of things. So as far as like, the regular guy at home, is that something that they can just receive and turn into a plant, or does it have to go to a nursery stage?
No, eventually you'll be able to get clones.
Yeah. At home, you can't buy at the tissue culture stage. For us, when we get our nursery going, it has to be made so that it's going to survive, right? So it needs special care and attention at that stage. So that's
exactly.
That's I'm just reading her lot here.
Look forward. I look forward to see. The nice thing about it is it allows the opportunity for people to grab different strains, to try something that maybe they've never ever seen of or heard of before.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the goal, right? Is
Well, that's kind of why we want to have a nursery. Is I've been going to these shows for 2 decades, all over the world, different shows, different festivals. And I've been collecting seeds, and they also breed. So we have this massive catalog, probably between 500 and 600 different strains that we want to make available to the public. And the only way to do that is to have a nursery. So
what he was talking about is we're going to cannabis in March.
So that's another thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's
an event. There's a new event in Toronto in March. Can Expo or something like that.
Oh really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's just a new one. I think this is the first year for them.
Can't go to them all.
Yeah, well.
You can't. I know. Like, remember one time? At one time there was just one or two. It was like Treating Yourself Expo. That was one of the only ones. And now they're like weeds. They're growing everywhere.
They are.
Well, that's what, legalization's kind of open it, but I kind of find it funny because they say no advertising and no promoting, but yet they're advertising and promoting, and I'm just like,
understanding the rules, by the way, is brutal.
I don't care. I think it's great. I have no issue with it. I just kind of have to giggle because it's just it's kind of funny.
So the supercharged joint, Remo technically is not allowed to review it on our YouTube channel.
No, technically, of course not.
But why?
Why?
If you bought it legally, it legally on the OCS, and I got someone to mail it to me, why the heck? That doesn't mean it.
But know what? This inability to market yourself is, it could be it is disastrous for a lot of these small producers because they can grow the best weed in the world and they're the best grower, but there's no way for them to really get the word out.
Yeah,
I know, right?
And then it gets sold for $2 a gram or something. It's
$1.50.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. So those are the things you get to work on, right? Making better.
Yeah. Well, again, it's such a glut. Like where do you draw the line on how many producers that can actually be viable?
Well, right? I think what they should have done is limit to the size. Don't allow anybody over 10,000 square feet. Period.
Well, there's a problem with that. Like we've been into many
large scale facilities.
big producers, like million square feet, over 1 million square feet that produce so much cannabis, blows my mind. And the problem with that is that when you produce that much cannabis and you put that on the market, you actually have the ability to push the market down and force the price down. And I think that's actually what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Is that these big producers, there's many of them across Canada, they're collectively selling it cheap to make sure they're getting paid, which makes it very difficult for a micro to survive.
I don't object to $100
they'd rather lose a little than lose a lot.
Yeah. I don't object to $100 ounces, though. I think that's not a bad thing. However,
$100 ounce is one thing, and that's great for the consumer.
But not all of them are.
But
Broken Coast is still selling their ounces for $200. There's another producer that I just seen the other day when I was in the store was at 203 plus taxes. So you're looking at about $225.
I think that's fine if you're paying the farmer fairly, right? Like that's the thing.
But Sandy, the problem is most of these $100 ounces aren't great.
No.
If they were like top shelf, if you can get stuff like Ghost Drops or cookies for $100 an ounce, people would freak out.
That isn't going to happen.
But currently, right now, if you open it, the $100 ounce is going to be.
But you have to. But you got to remember.
What is this?
I would look at this as the problem is there's so many people with the hands in the jar. Like, for example, you've got to pay. We had to pay. Like, just look at the supercharged joint. Okay, we had to pay for the flour. You got to pay for the diamonds. You got to pay for the keef. You got to pay for the blending. You've got to pay for the lab, all the lab results, because it's not just one. You've got to pay because once the keef is blended in, then you've got to test
testing
again.
and retesting.
Then you got to put the diamonds in, and then you've got to test again for aflatoxins, which that's an expensive test to make sure you don't have to irradiate it. Then you've got to pay for the rolling of the joint, the cost of the pre-rolled tube itself, the tube that it goes into, the label that goes onto it, right? Then
you haven't got the excise stamp yet.
They haven't even gotten to the excise stamp yet. So think about the processor. So they have to roll it. They have to put it in there. All of that takes time and money, right? Time. So so now we get a wholesale product, right? Or a product that's ready to send our costs. So you send it, you got to add the tax. Then it gets to the government. Then they add their cut, right? OCS. Oh, by the way, you just had to pay for shipping to get it there on a pallet, right?
Oh yeah.
So then they get it there, and then they add their profit, and then it goes to the wholesale store, like to their wholesale market, and then the retailer gets it. They mark it up 40%, right?
Yeah, they get a big chunk.
They get a chunk, right?
But that's usually what happens with sales. They always get a big chunk. Nothing wrong with that.
No, and then after that, you add on your GST or HST or whatever the heck you're adding on to that after. So you can see there's so many hands in the pie, and it's like how does
But there's one way you can cut out a little bit of the middleman. Go medical. And that's one thing that everybody's forgot about in this whole equation. This whole legalization to med patients. You can actually save a little bit of money if you go with one of these medical suppliers. You can buy even a supercharged joint for considerably less money.
I don't know what it's going to be.
But I'm just basing this on.
I don't know what it's going to be.
All the other flour. Let's say if you're to buy cookies flour in the store, it's going to be $53. If you went to buy cookies flour from Mendo, it's about 20% cheaper.
Well, that's cool.
So you're cutting out the middleman by going medical, which thank God. But everybody's forgot about the med patient.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we want to go back to and circle back to, because we want to make sure we have things like suppositories, things like the gel caps, things that are medical products, right? So that's kind of where, we want to do that too. So, I mean, it's funny because I saw someone's making CBD pre-rolls, but you're not allowed to say, hey, you can use this instead of smoking cigarettes, because now you're making a claim, right?
Right.
Actually, CBD is legal in Switzerland, and people smoke it everywhere, and they don't care. But we're like sitting out in a cafe and smoking weed, and
nobody knew what it was.
Yeah, we just said it was CBD, but nobody really asked or cared anyway.
Yeah,
It was like whatever.
And a restaurant, cafe, outdoor patio, because you're allowed to smoke there.
Rolling,
right?
These things.
And they didn't know it wasn't CBD because that's the only thing that they sell there. So
that's the other thing, because Switzerland's not part of the EU. You can smoke cigarettes, in their bars and stuff outside. Where in Europe you can't. So it was like weird.
I would imagine like your travels. We see your posts going here or going there. That you would come, like you guys were in Thailand. And I saw a post recently saying that that you guys had such a good time there. It'd be nice to go back.
Well, you know what? Thailand's the most beautiful place on earth. In fact, at the beginning of our trip, we met this couple in the airport. Remember that? And they came up to us and they said, "We're from America. We just sold everything we had to move here." And we're like, "Oh, that's cool." We didn't think anything of it. And we did a whole trip, and there were 7 of us, and we had a great time. 7 Canadians. beautiful trip. We've seen elephants. We've seen, you know, beautiful stuff, beautiful
Beaches.
scenery,
It was awesome.
great food, great people. Had an amazing time. And at the end, our friend Andy decided that he didn't want to come back to Canada. He wanted to live in Thailand, and he's still there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, but now, well, because legalization is happening in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's the exciting part, right? So yeah.
I remember doing the news stories and seeing the in the news stories the pictures of pizzas with the cannabis leaf on it, because like they did have at that time, they had caps on the amount of THC could be in things.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, you know what really what I thought was great about Thailand, I smoked weed that was just as good as Canadian weed in Thailand. Like I shot this video called Birthday Funk, and swear to God, it was just as good as that Ghost Drops First Class Funk in Thailand, in Bangkok. But you know what it is?
Really.
There is that they watch videos and they have the internet for information, and they're able to order the same genetics. So those, what seed company that come from, they can order it. They can order lights, they can order grow tents, all the equipment, nutrients. They get it home, they set it all up, and guess what? They're growing the same shit. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the government there, when they first started on all that, they gave away 1 million plants.
Yep. And that was just after we were there, because when we were there, they announced legalization.
Yeah, in the middle of our trip, like we're already smoking weed, and we're like, this is illegal. Halfway through, it's legal now. We're like, what?
Did we do that? No.
Did they do this for us? I wonder. We'll freak these guys out and legalize in the middle of their trip.
Right.
Well, it looks like it's almost running out of time. Are we almost out of time? Yeah, I was looking at the clock one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're running a little bit over time.
Thanks very much for having us on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for
coming on. We'll have to
again
soon, right?
Sure, we really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Sorry, I missed that. Yeah,
we'll have to blaze
super
again
great.
soon, he said. Yeah.
Blaze again soon.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Other than that, you got a shout out that you want to do? Let everybody know where they can find your nutrients or your websites or
RemoNutrients.com is our nutrients website. We have an awesome nutrient calculator that really works. We're about to launch the Remo Elements products. That won't be on there for a few months yet, but it'll actually, there's a store locator as well on our RemoNutrients.com. And then
also find us on YouTube, Urban Remo on YouTube.
And Instagram, of course, Urban Remo, the Urban Remo on Twitter, and give us a follow. And we really appreciate everybody, and look forward to letting you know what's going on.
Awesome.
Super.
Thank you.
Super. Tamara, you gonna say anything?
All right, thank you.
I just thank you guys for coming on, and we'll see you all next week.
All right.
Have a good week.
Okay, bye.
We'll blaze again soon.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you
bye.
Bye bye. I can also that was good for them to take so much time to come on and talk to us, because like you listen to everything that they had to list of stuff that they're in the process or been doing to get to where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
I really appreciate them taking the time tonight to come on the show. So thank you again for coming on, and thanks to all our viewers and listeners. And you'll have a great week. And that's about
And also, thanks to our sponsors, Legacy420.com and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Thanks to our guests, Sandra and Remo. And yeah. And thanks to everybody for tuning into the broadcast tonight. Other than that, we'll see you all next week. And thank you. And good night. I got to find my button here. There we go.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.